That was a great look at the new features and experiences in 8.1. What I want to do now, actually, is I want us to look below the covers at the great developer improvements we've made in 8.1 that power those experiences. So whether you're a hardware developer or software developer, we've got some great improvements in you and amazing advances for you in 8.1. These will help you create beautiful, powerful, responsive, and delightful, touch-friendly apps that are really efficient with system resources and have great performance. Your existing apps will run better on 8.1, so having people upgrade is a real benefit to you, and that's why we made the upgrade free. And then when you migrate your app to 8.1 and update it in the store, it'll run even better than before for your customers. Of course, Windows continues to offer developers a unique array of choices. You have your choice of programming languages and presentation technologies so that you can use what you know to write native Windows 8.1 apps. You can write first-class, high-performance apps using HTML and JavaScript, C# and XAML, or C++ and DirectX. And you have your choice of business models via the Windows Store. And in 8.1, there are actually literally over 5,000 new APIs for you to take advantage of and unleash your creativity with. Windows 8.1 has a lot of surface area, and Build is devoted to sharing that with you. The Windows teams put together over 100 sessions for you to see at the conference or on demand later. So what I'm going to try and do here is I'm going to try and actually give you a bit of a sampling of some of the great things that you're going to get to learn about over the next couple of days. Let's jump right in. Now, the best place to start talking about developer investments is obviously with tools. So we're going to start with a preview of the next version of the world's best development tools, and that's Visual Studio. So Visual Studio 2013 makes it incredibly easy to develop next-generation mobile and connected apps and support devices and services across our entire platform. Just like the Windows team, the Visual Studio team's been operating at a faster release cadence, and that means that the developer preview of 2013 is available today for you to download. So you have to go check that out. There's a lot in this version of Visual Studio, and I'm going to show you just a few of my favorite new things here. Now, this is going to be a test of how many developers we really have in the room. I'm going to start by talking about performance a little bit. Knowing how your app performs is obviously a really important part of delivering a great experience to your customers. And with mobile devices, it's actually more important than ever. So it's not only about how fast your app is, but if you think of things like mobile broadband, for example, you really want to know how network efficient your app is. Or you want to know, for example, how your app will affect the battery life of the device that it's working on. So in Visual Studio 2013, we've built some powerful performance analysis tools directly into the tool. So we're going to start here. I have an app. This app is called Supernova. And what I'm going to do is all it does is it actually downloads a bunch of photos of known supernova from the web and then displays them in a nice grid. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a little performance analysis on this app. So I'm going to go to the debug menu, and I'm going to pick performance and diagnostics. And here it lets me pick what kind of report I want to do. And I'm going to pick one that's really cool. My energy consumption report. I'm going to do that, and I'm going to hit start. So now what it's going to do is it starts up my app, and in the background, it's actually profiling its energy consumption. So we'll go back to Visual Studio now. I'll hit Stop Collection. It's going to build a report for me. Now have a look at how cool this is. What this chart is showing me, it's actually showing me the power consumption of my app in milliwatts. How would you have done this before? The red bar is actually the total consumption. You can see in yellow is the consumption from the CPU. In gray is the consumption from the display. You get a really, really good sense of how your app is actually using power on the device. This donut chart at the bottom here just sort of shows me the relative consumption from those different parts of the device. And it even tells me here down at the bottom that this app would run on my device for 9.17 hours before the battery runs out. So really, really cool diagnostics and information for me to make my app even better for mobile devices. Now, good, it gets better, it gets better. I want to talk about async debugging for a second. Now, this is the test of developers. Another feature we added to Visual Studio 2013 is some great tools around async debugging. So in Windows 8, we did a lot of work to let you write procedural async code, right? So you don't have this spaghetti code with callbacks all over the place. Really neat stuff, but it's a little bit tricky to debug. I want to have a look at a different app. So I'm going to switch over to this different app here. And this is basically an async version, or it's a different version of my Supernova app. And what it does is, I'm just going to run it here. So what it's doing here is it's actually showing me some low-res photos of these supernova. But when I bring up the app bar, there's a button down here at the bottom that says full image. And what that's going to do when I tap it is it makes an async call to actually go get the high-res images for these supernova. Now, I have a breakpoint set here, so I'm going to go tap on this, and I've hit the breakpoint. Now, developers in the room, you know what's going to happen here. If I try to step over this, what's going to happen is first that async operation gets triggered and starts. Control returns to UI processing, so my app stays responsive and I can keep processing UI events. And only when that async routine is done does control come back to the next statement in here. Now, today, if you do this, what's going to happen is when you get back there and you look at the call stack, there's one function on it, and that's it. We've completely lost the async call context. So it makes it kind of tricky to actually debug around these async calls. Let's try this in Visual Studio 2013, though. I'm going to step over this. Now look at the call stack down at the bottom. It's actually preserved the entire async call context for me. So that retains my ability to actually effectively trace through my code, and it just makes it much, much easier to debug async code. Now, I mentioned connected apps earlier. Visual Studio 2013 makes it trivial to connect an Azure mobile service to your app to send it push notifications. I want to have a look at that now. We're going to go back to my first app, and what I want to do is let's close this report here. What I'd like to do is actually set up a live tile for this app and have an Azure service that basically monitors a data source, and when a new supernova shows up, it sends a notification down, and the live tile actually shows a photo and a message about a new supernova showing up. Now, the way I do this is I'm going to go into the Solution Explorer here, and I'm going to right-click, and I'm going to go to Add, and I will select Push Notification. Now, this starts up a wizard. I'm not going to walk through the whole wizard. It has about 8 to 10 steps, but I'm just answering a bunch of questions in here. And what this wizard will do is it actually provisions an Azure mobile service for me, pushes all this template code over to it, and connects everything together so that I can actually get these push notifications. What's even cooler, and I did this earlier, so it's set up this way. What's even cooler is I can use this new Server Explorer here to actually go look at the service side code without ever leaving my client project, which is really neat. Let's look at insert.js. So this is the piece of code right here that'll actually send the notification. I've chosen a tile template that basically cycles between an image and 2 lines of text. And you can see here, that's all it's setting up. It's setting up the source for the image and then the lines of text. We'll run this, and we'll give it a second. Now it's fired up the service over on the Azure mobile service, and the app is running. And if we switch over to the Start menu, we should see our tile. There's our tile right there. And if you give it something like 5 to 8 seconds here, you'll see it cycle between the image and between the text. So just like that. That was super easy, just did it through a wizard. How cool is that? So let's switch and talk about something different now. I want to talk about the web platform. Since Windows 7, Microsoft's been a leader in supporting web standards. And we continue this in 8.1 by adding support for WebGL and MPEG-. So WebGL is a JavaScript API for rendering interactive 3D graphics without using a plugin at all. MPEG- is a protocol for high-quality video streaming. It does things like variable bitrate and DRM and things like that. And the web platform in Windows 8.1 supports both of these. And because the web platform powers both IE and the web view control, it means that you have access now to WebGL and MPEG- content, both in the browser and in your native apps. So let's have a look at that. I'm going to start in IE here. And what you're seeing here is a page with WebGL content in it. So this is a beautifully rendered 3D object. You can see the lighting and the shadows and all that stuff. And using touch pointer events, I can actually interact with it. And it's super nice. It's really smooth because it's hardware accelerated, and all the rendering in the web platform is actually hardware accelerated. So that's really neat. Now, let's do something different here. I'm going to come over here, and I have an app that's running, and we're going to dock it right next to it. Now, this on the left is a native app. Right? It's got the same code, the same markup, the same experience in it, and it's running in WebGL too. So this shows you just how easy it is to take code that I've written for a website and just bring it over to a native app almost seamlessly and make it work in the native app. Now the cool thing about this is because it's a native app and it's running in the web view control, I can put multiple web view controls on my canvas. So let's get rid of this window. Let's tap next here. Now here's a place where I actually have 4 web view controls up in my native app. The 2 at the top are both WebGL controls. This one is the one on the top left is the one we just saw. This one is a panorama. I can, of course, interact with these. I can actually interact with both of them at the same time. And then at the bottom, what you're seeing are 2 1080p streaming videos that are streaming over MPEG-Dash. The one on the right actually is DRM protected, the one on the left isn't. But all this stuff is playing at the same time, hardware accelerated, super seamlessly. It's really, really cool stuff. And we've even done more with the web view control. So one of the things that many of you have been asking for is to actually be able to compose the web view controls with other components of the UI. So we've done that. If you see here when I bring in the app bar, see how it just swipes over, it's transparent, the content is still playing in the back? It's super, super cool and lets you create absolutely beautiful apps. We've done more than that even with the web view control. We've added navigation events, we've added smart screens so that you stay safe with the content that you bring into those controls. The controls handle offline content. All of this makes it easier than ever to build high-performance apps that blend both local and web content. Okay, now I want to talk about the Windows Store. So the store, of course, continues to offer the best economics of any store out there, period. But we've also redesigned it so people can more easily find and buy your apps. We've added support for cache-stored value in over 40 markets. We've added in-app purchasing for items and consumables. We've added app gifting. And we've also added significantly better merchandising and promotion powered by Bing. Our goal is to make sure that people know about all the great apps that you write and then to make it easy and flexible for them to buy them. I want to show you a few highlights. So the first thing you're going to, I'm back here at the start screen, and you can see the store tile up here, and the first thing you're going to notice is that there's something missing. There's not a little update count up in the top right corner. We are done with those. You will never see those update counts again. We're done with manual app updating. In Windows 8.1 now, apps get updated automatically so that your customers are always running the latest version of your app. Now let's tap on the tile and go into the store. And you can see here that we've actually significantly redesigned how this works. The first section you see here on the right is a rotating spotlight. So this is a programmed section where we get to show some great apps. And then as I pan over to the right, what you're seeing here are lists. So we know that people love lists as a way to go discover apps. So what we've done is we've brought these lists to the front and exploded them on the front page of the store. So you get to see a lot more apps than you used to, and it just makes it much easier to find things and much easier for customers to find your apps. I want to point out one list in particular here, which is the first one. It's the Picks for You list. So this is kind of cool. This is actually a personalized list for you. So it's built actually by the Bing recommendation engine, based around signals like apps that you've acquired before and ratings and similar apps that other people have acquired. So it's a great, great way to actually discover new apps. And of course, as a developer, it's a great way to have your apps merchandised to potential customers. So really cool stuff. Let's go over here, and I'm going to tap into one of these so we can have a look at what the new app description page is. So this has been changed a lot also. You see there's a lot more surface area to show some really high fidelity screenshots from my app. As I go across here, you can see some ratings and some rich ratings and information and ratings and review information. And probably the most important section to talk about here, or most interesting section to talk about, are related apps and then apps by Microsoft Studios, which in this case is us. So this is a place where you get to cross-merchandise your apps if you have a number of apps in the store. So again, a great way to have people discover the apps that you're building and actually to sell more and make more money in the store. So great, great, great stuff. Finally, navigation in the store is much easier. No, you can go ahead. That's fine. Navigation is much easier from anywhere in the store. I can just drop down the app bar, tap on any section, and go right where I want to be. So again, you can see the lists exploded here at the store. All of this is designed to make it easier to sell your apps and to make more money. So now what I want to do is I want to talk about the desktop for a minute. So we love the millions of desktop apps that are out there, and we're absolutely committed to continuing to support them. In fact, we've done work in 8.1 to make them work even better on modern PCs. And I'm going to show you an example of that with multi-mon support. What I have here is a Surface Pro, and it's connected into this external monitor. Now, the Surface Pro has a really high DPI screen, whereas this 25-inch monitor running a 1080 resolution is actually relatively low DPI. Now, in the past, Windows has always used one scaling factor for all your monitors, regardless of their DPI. It basically picks the scaling factor of the primary monitor, and then that's what it uses for all your monitors. And 8.1 now allows each monitor to have its own scaling factor, so you actually get the most use out of the space available to you on your external monitor. so watch what happens here. I'm going to start dragging Visual Studio over, and you can see as it peaks into here, it's scaled really, really highly because it's got the scaling factor from my primary monitor here on the surface. But as I keep going, watch what happens. See how it just scaled down? And now look at all the usage I get of the space on this giant monitor. How cool is that? I can do this if I'm a Lightroom user, for example. I can just do the same thing here. I bring it over, boom, look at all that space I have. I'm showing you Lightroom because I just want to show you that these apps didn't have to be modified at all for this to happen. Windows just takes care of doing the work for you. And these are just nice touches that allow your existing desktop app investments to just keep being great with modern hardware. Now I want to talk about graphics and games. This is where this gets really fun. We continue to innovate in DirectX to make Windows the best gaming platform out there for both casual and AAA games. Now I want to show you something that we've been working on with NVIDIA, AMD, and Intel. It's something called tiled resources. Now the best way to explain this is actually with a demo. So what you're seeing right now is a model of the planet Mars. Now this is actually pretty cool. It uses about 3 gigs of data, and this is actually a fairly accurate model. What this does, the data actually comes from the Mars Global Surveyor mission, sort of orbited, satellite that orbited Mars for a couple of years and used a laser altimeter to build up a really, really detailed model of the topography of the planet. And that's the data we're using here. Now the cool thing, if you wanted to build this app, this is just a model of the planet, and I want to be able to zoom in and look around at it. What you would do is you would load all of this data into your graphics card and let the graphics card actually do the hard work of rendering the images. But the problem is it's 3 gigs of data, and I don't have that much memory on my graphics card. So what happens typically is what you would do is you'd sort of downsample the detail so that you can use the memory on the graphics card. And what happens is as I zoom in, you'll see that actually, as I get closer here, you'll see that it gets a little bit fuzzy. Let's keep going in here just so you can see it. See, as I get closer, it's kind of fuzzy. There we go. So now this is where tiled resources help. So tiled resources give you a programmable hardware page table for graphics memory. So what this is going to do is it's basically dynamically swapping the parts of the data I need into my graphics card to render the scene that I'm actually looking at. So let's flip that on and you'll see the difference here. Look at that. Now look at the difference in detail here, and here the cool thing is, this is actually, we made this demo restricted it to only using 16 megs of memory on that graphics card. Now, it's pretty cool, but obviously the motivation for doing this, for doing something like this, is to actually let you make games with really unprecedented amounts of detail. So let's have a look at another demo here. What you're going to see here, so this is a demo that's built by a company called Graphine. They're out of Belgium. They're a games middleware company. And this is running on an NVIDIA GTX 770 card. So this is a good graphics card. It's one that you can go buy today at the store. It's easily available. And here, tiled resources are being used to render these 2 gliders. There's another one here that's flying around this one, flying over this absolutely beautiful, detailed coastline. It's way more complex. This one uses about 9 gigs of data. And you can see just how amazing this is. But watch what happens when I zoom in here. You're going to get a good sense of the level of detail. Just push the button here and zoom in. And if you look carefully, you can see individual rivets on this thing. You can see smudge marks on the skin. It's unbelievable the amount of detail that I have here. Right? And so the best thing about this is this actually will run on the tens of millions of DX11 cards that are out there today, and of course that number grows every day. And you cannot dream of doing this on iOS or on Android. In fact, this is actually only possible on a Windows 8.1 machine or on a next generation gaming console like the Xbox One. Okay, now I want to talk about something different. I want to talk about devices a little bit. So in Windows 8.1, we've really invested in giving you great new ways to write apps that interact with this exciting range of devices and peripherals that's exploding around us right now. One great example of that is 3D printing. Now, 3D printing is super hot right now, and Windows 8.1 is the first and only platform to support it natively. And what that means is that we did the work to create the APIs, the formats, and the driver model that make printing in 3D just as seamless as printing in 2D is. So with 8.1, you can create an app like this little demo one that I have here that lets you manipulate and create 3D objects. And then when I'm happy with what I have, printing it is just as seamless and as easy as printing to a laser printer. I can just go here to Devices, tap Print. I'm going to select my 3D printer here. I'm going to hit Print. And now what it's doing is it's sending the data for this vase over to the printer. It's going to take about 20 seconds because it's actually fairly rich data. And you'll see the printer start up here in a few seconds. Now the printer, this is actually a MakerBot Replicator 2 This thing prints in thicknesses of about 100 microns. So it actually takes quite a while to print something like this vase. So we've got this time-lapse video up here showing you what's going on. But this stuff is super, super cool. Here's the finished result. If you've never seen one of these are actually really fun to play with. I'm going to toss one down there so folks can play with it. Good catch. And these are really becoming broadly available. This one will be in Microsoft stores soon. And this other one over here on this side, you can see it going here. This other one over here on this side is made by a company called 3D Systems. It's called the Cube Printer. And this will be available in Staples soon for under $1,300. So really, really broadly available. And these things are really fun to play with. Now, in Windows 8.1, we've also added APIs in WinRT that let you interact directly with devices that use their own protocols over either USB or Wi-Fi Direct or Bluetooth or HID. And I wanted a really cool demo to show you. So we were lucky enough to be able to work with the LEGO education team to build something using their new unreleased LEGO Mindstorm EV3 platform. Now take a look at this little beauty. We're going to have fun with this. So those of you who have kids know how popular these are in schools. And of course, if you have kids who have one, I know you're playing with these also. This is the next generation of that Mindstorm platform. And it'll allow kids around the world to learn programming skills for the 21st century. So we built this robot. And what we did is we created a Windows Store app to actually control it. So we've got a Surface tablet on this thing. It connects to the robot controller using USB. So it's pretty cool. It can send it signals and make it do things. But we actually wanted it to do a little bit more. So what I have here is I actually have a second tablet. And this is, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this as a remote control for that. So what it's doing is it's actually communicating, this tablet is communicating with that tablet over Wi-Fi, that's then communicating over USB to the robot controller, and we're going to see if we can make this thing move. All right, there it goes. How cool is that? Oh, but wait. We actually wanted to do more. So what we've done here now is that we're actually I'm going to use the real-time streaming APIs that are new in Windows 8.1, and we're going to have this thing send a live video feed to that guy. Now, this is going to be a video feed of me, so who knows what this will look like. But here we go. Here's me. And you can see it on the front. It's getting sent over Wi-Fi directly to that tablet. And I'm just going to go sit in the back now and let this thing finish the keynote for you. How often is that? We could keep going and going and going with this thing, actually. We've done a lot of work on it. It actually has a sentry mode that uses the LEGO distance sensor and face recognition software to actually detect when someone comes within range of it and give me a notification. There's all sorts of, it knows how to send tweets. There's all sorts of fun things you can do. You combine a device like this with Windows 8.1, and you're really only limited by your imagination. You can just imagine what kids are going to be able to do with something like this. Now, before I wrap up, I'd like to spend a couple minutes just showing you some of the exciting new PCs and tablets. Now, Windows 8 has really spurred some incredible innovation in our PC ecosystem. In just a year, we started to see an explosion of new and unique form factors, design concepts like detachable tablets, like all-in-ones, like portable all-in-ones, like high PPI displays. We've got this massive selection now of touchscreen devices at every price point. You can be sure that there's a PC out there that's exactly right for you. And I want us to just have a look at a few specific ones here. The first one I want to show you here is, so this is the Samsung Ativ Book 9 Plus. So this thing has a mind-boggling 3200 by 1800 13-inch screen. So this is the highest resolution 13-inch laptop in the world. It blows away a MacBook Retina. And it has a touch screen. This one actually is really cool. It's actually also running a 4th generation Haswell Intel Core i7 processor. It has 8 gigs of RAM. It has a 256 gig SSD. Samsung says this gets 12 hours on a single charge. How amazing is that? Just in a minute, look at how thin this thing is. Absolutely beautiful device. Now, one of the things I really love is the innovation from OEMs in convertible designs. And I want to show you this one. This is one that Steve was talking about earlier. This is actually the Lenovo ThinkPad Helix. So this is a tablet and an Ultrabook all in one device. And first of all, it's a great tablet for work. It has TPM in it, it has BIOS encryption, it has USB 3.0, it has NFC, just a great, really powerful machine. But thanks to this cleverly designed detachable keyboard, once I pop it in here, it's then just a nice, thin, ultralight Ultrabook as well. So just a wonderful, wonderful design. This is just a great, for you who love Lenovo keyboards, this is just an amazing machine. Now let's keep going. I'm going to show you, the next one I want to show you is this one. This is the Acer Aspire P3. So this is just a beautiful, powerful tablet in a really compact design. It's only about 0.4 inches thick, weighs 1.74 pounds, and it has an Intel Core i5 processor on it. So this thing really, really smokes. It's fast. You can do a lot of work on this thing. And it also has a unique detachable wireless keyboard that doubles as a protective cover for it. Next thing I want to show you over here is actually another Acer device. Now this one, this is the Acer Aspire V5. Now this is a full-featured laptop. It has a 10-point multi-touch screen, as you can see, and it has a pretty powerful AMD dual-core A4 processor in it. But the thing that I love about this is it's under $400. It's great to see high-quality touch coming to all price points in the PC ecosystem. Keep going, it's fine. Next one I want to show you is actually a Windows RT device. So this is the Dell XPS 10. It has a Qualcomm Snapdragon S4 processor in it. It's got 4G LTE connectivity. Dell claims an incredible 18.5 hours of battery life when it's docked to its detachable keyboard. And the best part of this one too is it's under $400 as well. And it's an amazingly thin and light and portable device. I love this thing. The last one I want to show you is this interesting one. So this is such a great example of innovation in all-in-ones. This is called the Dell XPS 18, and it really brings the best of PCs and tablets together. It weighs less than 5 pounds, and when I undock it, it has up to 7 hours of battery life, so I can carry it around and play games and watch movies and all these things. So it's just a great, super innovative device. So what we have on stage there today is just a really small subset of over 3,000 certified Windows 8 PCs and tablets that you can choose from. It's really cool stuff. And I think, oh, here comes Julie. So I think Julie has one more that she wants to show us.
I have one more here. This is my Surface Pro, and I really love this device. It does everything. It's a tablet, it's a full PC, it's powerful.
Yeah, I mean, with Windows 8.1 and Visual Studio 2013 on it, you really have a great tablet for developers and for building mobile and connected apps. I love my Surface Pro.
I love mine too, and these are all developers in the audience. Do you think they would like one? All right. So great news. We have one for each of you, and I'd really like to thank Intel for co-sponsoring the Surface Pro for you.
All right, so that was my overview of Windows 8.1 for you. You can see we've doubled down on fundamentals, we've filled gaps, we've addressed feedback, we've expanded the platform in really exciting ways. And now it's time for you to start exploring all the details. You can go to preview.windows.com for all the info you need and to actually download the Windows 8.1 preview release. And whether you're working with the Windows Store, on desktop, on the web, every one of your apps is going to benefit from Windows 8.1. If you create PCs or tablets or other devices, Windows 8.1 opens many, many new experiences for you to innovate. And we're really looking forward to seeing what you will do. Now, here to speak to you about some more developer opportunities around Microsoft services is Gurdeep Singh Pal from the Bing team. Thanks, everyone.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Corporate Vice President, Microsoft Corporation, Gurdeep Singh Paul.
Good morning, folks. So Steve, Julie, and Antoine mentioned Bing in their talks. So I'm here to talk to you a bit more about Bing. Now, Bing, as all of you know, is a beautiful, powerful search engine. You know, Bing is on a roll. Let me tell you about the momentum for Bing. 17.4% share in the US, gaining month over month. Facebook Bings, Yahoo Bings, and Apple Siri Bings. Folks, all these people know something. They're smart people, they know something. They know that Bing is an incredible product. It's an incredible product that is built by incredible engineers. Now, these engineers have not only built a great search engine, they've also built some amazing capabilities. An internet scale infrastructure, machine learning plant, ability to understand user intent, make sense of a lot of unstructured content on the web. Now, it turns out that all these things can be actually quite valuable even beyond the search box. For a long time, we've had this vision that you can take these capabilities and enable a whole bunch of new experiences, and that was the journey that we started down on a couple of years ago. Now, you can see, of course, search is a huge, huge piece of what Bing is about, but we started to extract some of the capabilities out. So, for example, the web index and relevance, huge capability with lots of potential. Entities and knowledge, the ability to extract, conflate, and to organize entities into an ontology so that you can now start reasoning over information as opposed to just looking at it as pieces of text. NUI capabilities, natural user interfaces, are all about understanding user intent. Now, turns out that the great work that was done in Bing can be pivoted into a lot of interesting natural user interface technologies. And then there is about the real world. You know, the web has become sort of a proxy for the real world that we live in, and we sort of go back and forth between those. And it turns out in Bing, we are had to tackle that problem. So is there a way that we could take all these capabilities out and then start enabling some first-party experiences? Now, Antoine talked about and Julie talked about some great features in Windows 8.1. The search arm, the ability to use Bing to really make apps discoverable in the marketplace. You know, some examples. We've had the Translator app, which is this brilliant, new, interesting application on Windows 8. So that's one example. When you look at Office, Office 2013 has some award-winning Bing apps for Office, which allow you to think about Office not just as a set of tools, but also to connect it into the web and information that naturally belongs inside those applications. We've seen the GeoFlow application in Office 2013, which lets you render a lot of content on top of this beautiful real-world canvas. Xbox 360, some great NUI work was done by Bing. You know, you saw that, how you access into entertainment information. With Xbox One, that goes completely to a new level. And then, you know, there's other things like the Windows Phone 8, which has just lots and lots of Bing's functionality, which is built in. Now, folks, I learned a lesson in the 90s when I was a developer on the Windows operating system. And that is that if we can do something with an API that is good, third parties can do something with it which is dynamite. So today, what I'm here to announce with you is the availability of Bing as a platform for you, the developers. So let me tell you what all you can do with this. With entities and knowledge, now firstly, with web index and relevance, we already have a bunch of Bing APIs which are used by tens of thousands of developers today, in mostly using the search pattern. Now let's talk about entities and knowledge. Now think of it as being the brain, the knowledge of the web, the unbounded knowledge of the web is now available to your applications. Let's talk about natural user interfaces, the ears and the mouth and the eyes. These capabilities which have never been available for developers in a large-scale way, we are providing through the new Bing platform. And then for the real world, we want to bring a whole lot of new mapping and visualization capabilities, and also capabilities with which you can connect the real world with the virtual world through a set of APIs and controls. Now, I can talk a lot about APIs, but I thought it might be interesting to show you what you can do with these APIs. Now, what we did here is that we put ourselves in your shoes and built an interesting application. This application, this is not a shipping application by any stretch, but it's an application to exemplify the use of these controls. So this application tackles a very simple task, which is trip planning task for users. So let me come over here, and I'll start by, I'll go to my Windows Phone here, and I've got a Trip Companion app which runs on the phone. So let me go ahead and do something with it. Trip Companion, add Spain to my vacation ideas.
Added Spain to your vacation ideas.
Okay, so you can see that this application on the phone added Spain to my vacation ideas. Now I did that when I was standing by the water cooler with the phone in my hand, and my friend was telling me about the great trip that they had to Spain. Now later on, I'm thinking about my long summer. I'm thinking maybe I need to go pick a trip for my family. So I come back to my desk, and I've got my Surface sitting there, and I see that Road Trip Companion app is right here. So let me open that up. Now you notice that Spain, it shows a star, which means that this idea just got added to my app. So you can see how the Bing platform will work across the family of devices for the user. So let me click on Spain, and here the developer has created an application experience with Spain in there. They've used one of our controls. That's nice. Let me just browse through, and now my friend who was at the water cooler was telling me about Valencia. So let me click on Valencia. Beautiful pictures of Valencia that you've put inside your app. I can browse through them. And this is what I call pretty much what an experience is today. Now let's see what we can do when we sprinkle this with the magic of some of our new controls. Great, so you integrated one of our controls, and you have this, what looks like a street side view. Okay, let's see if we can make this more interesting. Let's create a bit of a virtual tour here.
This is the City of Arts and Sciences in Valencia. It is one of the largest cultural centers of Europe. You could easily spend more than a day here. You must see the oceanographic, the Prince Philip Museum and the Queen Sofia Arts Palace here. There are quite a few good hotels nearby. You can check out the views that you get from them to see if you should believe their marketing.
Okay, great. So that was a little gritty thing, I thought developers would like that. So now you said, Gurdeep, that's great. You've given me a control where you flew a plane over Valencia, and we gotta have it. So, okay, fine. Well, let me see if we can do something more interesting with it. Folks, can you guys keep a secret? I know you're all developers, so I trust you guys. What we've not announced to anybody yet is that Windows 8.1 Maps app will come with 3D capability, with 3D imagery, okay? Now, we're going one step further. We're going to go one step further because we're going to take this 3D imagery, all the content we are creating, and enable it through a 3D control that you can embed inside your applications. I guess that's what I'm showing you here today, okay? So let me play with this a little. Let's see if there's some hotels here. Maybe I can go along the hotels. Maybe I can go explore a little bit before I go visit. Now, this takes the idea of going and visiting a city to a whole new level. And you can see how beautiful this imagery is. This is built using cameras that we have built ourselves with some amazing optics. This is very, very high resolution imagery. You can see all the details. And these details actually become really interesting when you really think about interacting with the real world. Here's a beautiful building here. Let me dig in. Oh, beautiful. There's some some basketball courts. So you can see how this beautiful imagery can actually provide a canvas for a whole lot of interesting things. So let's see what are some interesting things that we can do. Now, one of the things about the real world, and especially when you look at the real world in this amazing way, is that it really starts begging the question that, I've got lots of questions. I'm going to visit Valencia. I'm going to visit some really beautiful architecture, some churches there. And the question that pops to your head, hey, who designed this thing? Now, normally, a user would have to change from this application, go to a browser, type in Valencia, type in whatever little context they can put in. But the reality is the user is looking at your app at a particular object. Wouldn't it be nice if they could just say, who is the architect? Folks, what you see here is that we've taken a whole lot of steps. We've taken a whole lot of steps away from a user, and we've allowed you to create an unbounded amount of knowledge right into your applications. Because I could have asked a different question, which would have again gone to the Bing platform, and it would have returned with an entity which best relates to what you're looking at. So let's keep going. So I've decided that Valencia is indeed a very nice place. So I'm going to visit it. So I'm going to go ahead and add Valencia to my itineraries. Now, while I was standing at the water cooler, this friend of mine said that they had some of the best food when they were in Valencia. I said, wow, that's great. And what does he do? He reaches into his wallet and he gives me a card. Now, this is a little analog artifact that he brought from Valencia. Now, if I go put this into my, if I go and put this into my wallet, I'll probably lose it a week later, and I definitely will not find it when I'm in Valencia. So let's see if we can do something better. Let me use some of the eyes functionality in the Bing platform and scan this, this card, which I can then use later. So I go ahead and scan it. So using the OCR capability that is available through the Bing controls, you can now scan the information, which is wonderful, except that I don't speak Spanish. So let me see if I can do something a little bit more interesting. Great. So now, using the OCR capability in Bing platform and the translator capability, I've combined those two things. And now let me go ahead and save this later so that when I'm in Valencia, I won't forget it. Add this idea for dinner to my itinerary. Great. So now this information, which existed in an analog artifact, is now saved with my itinerary, available for me when I'm in Valencia. Now roll forward, and here I am in Valencia now, and I said, hey, I want to go try out some nice places to eat. And I remember that I'd filed some of these things away. So let me bring back my Windows Phone that is with me. And remember, I had a Trip Companion app here. So I could say, Trip Companion, find ideas for dinner.
Finding ideas for dinner.
Great. So now we had extracted that information, translated it, and now connected it to a speech-based search on that information. And now I've got it right here, so I can open it up, and you can see that this is exactly what I had scanned into my little artifact. So folks, what you've seen here is a little sample application that we have put together to show you the power of these controls. I really believe that in this coming decade, apps are going to have eyes, they're going to have ears, they're going to have a mouth, and that will enable a really, really seamless experience for you as you are trying to create these seamless experiences for your developers. Now, all this is great. I'm very happy to announce this new platform which is available to you. There's a new developer portal that you can go really try it on. Next year, I want to be standing here on stage showing some really interesting apps that you've built. And that's why we come in to do the work that we do. Thank you, folks.
Start with the first browser built for touch. Add the only search engine that allows you to ask your friends on Facebook. Let's give you Office, the world's most popular way to get work done, along with the cloud to let you share and collaborate with others. Play movies, music, and games from Xbox, and choose apps to make it your own. Now bring it all to life with Windows, and use it on your Surface, your PC, or your phone. That's the new Windows. One experience on every device for everything in your life.
Well, about an hour and a half ago, I promised you we had lots to show today. And I hope at this stage you got a sense of the sort of diversity of what we're doing and the speed with which we're trying to do it. With Windows 8.1 particularly, I think we state clearly a new rapid release cadence. I hope you agree. You saw some beautiful, beautiful, beautiful new phones, some unbelievable transformation in Windows devices from the PCs we knew and loved to these new 2-in-1s, touch notebooks, and very, very small tablets, all very interesting and very capable in terms of what they permit in terms of application level innovation. Certainly, new applications coming to market, and all of the tools and technologies that both Antoine and Gurdeep had a chance to talk about that will really allow you to do phenomenal new applications, both in the modern style as well as enhancements and new applications in the desktop style. We really have paid some attention to this notion of the desktop and modern applications and how people mix and match and use their environments, and have made some pretty transformative changes. And last but not least, I think building Bing into Windows and to Windows phones and into Xboxes allows not only us, but all developers to be able to very rapidly do some of the exciting new kinds of applications that Gurdeep gave you a sense of in his last talk. So a lot of new things, a lot of new ground, a lot of innovation, and a lot of excitement, all available in the Windows family of devices, from phone to tablet to notebook to 2-in-1 to desktop. I think all very, very exciting. Tomorrow, we'll get a chance to talk about a different set of subjects, but also moving at a very rapid rate with a very rapid release cadence. We'll anchor tomorrow's discussion on what's going on in the cloud backend with Windows Azure. We'll talk to you about new capabilities in Azure that really make it a cloud on which businesses and enterprises can really operate. We'll talk about the popularity of Office 365, which is a SaaS application, has taken off like a rocket ship, and things that we're doing to make it extensible by you with customizations, new applications, integration into Active Directory and the security model. We'll show how that extends beyond Office 365 and Azure to any SaaS application that you want to create. The ability to integrate securely data and identity with on-premise and SaaS applications. And of course, tomorrow again, we'll talk about tools, tools, tools. Because at the end of the day, particularly as the infrastructures that are available to you get more sophisticated, the importance of giving you tools that let you rapidly and simply build this modern style of application, front end and cloud infrastructure, is increasingly important. So we're enthused about the range of things that we get to talk to you about at Build. But before I wrap up, we wanted to show you just one more demonstration. One more demonstration. We're going to show you an application that's also a development environment that uses kind of everything we've talked about today to some measure. It uses the graphics capabilities, it uses phones and tablets, it runs on Azure on the back end, and this is a game we first talked about at the E3 conference just a few weeks ago. We call it Project Spark, and I think it'll, again, spark your imagination in terms of some of the things that you can do in this modern environment. So this is a game that's also a development environment for building games. But let's welcome on stage Rusty McClellan and Dave McCarthy from our interactive entertainment group. They're going to wet your whistle for one final time this morning. Dave.
Thanks, Steve. Hi, everyone. Rusty and I are excited to be here today to give you a small glimpse at what Project Spark can do across devices on a variety of inputs. Rusty's going to start off by creating a beautiful world on a Windows 8 desktop with touch controls. And in less than 5 minutes, we'll build a game from scratch via Smart Glass on the recently announced Xbox One. Project Spark is an open-world digital canvas that enables anyone to build, play, and share whatever they can imagine. It's a powerful, yet simple way to create your own worlds, stories, and games. Project Spark will be available on Xbox One, Xbox 360, and Windows 8, and through the power of the cloud, it lets you seamlessly carry over your progress and content from one platform to another. It's an ongoing service with frequent updates and content additions across all of our platforms. Play the way you want on whichever platform you want. Now, Rusty's just putting the finishing touches here on our game setting. We've chosen Desert Oasis. He's using our paintbrush to put in some finite detail, a little greenery around the pond there. Let's put a couple more finishing touches on this, Rusty. We'll play with the time of day. And let's do the position of the sun. That's cool. All right, and then we'll finish off with placing an enemy for our gameplay scenario. Your choice. You've chose the goblin. Nice. Place him in there. Excellent. All right. So Rusty's going to save what he just made to the cloud, and we'll pick up over here in our living room without losing a beat. Imagine the possibilities that are unlocked by creating away from your console and then playing your masterpiece over on the big screen. Seamlessly creating back and forth. Devices at your ready, just waiting for your next inspiration. This is digital age nirvana. All right, Rusty, so we're loading this up on the Xbox One. We want to see our Desert Oasis and our little gameplay moment with the goblin here. Rusty's on controller right now. There we are, looks good. Now, being across all devices opens up new methods of input and allows us to innovate with games of all types. Even though we're now playing on an Xbox One, we can use Smart Glass and remote rendering on any Windows 8 device to keep creating with amazing touch controls. So Rusty, let's change this controller-based action mechanic into something maybe a little less predictable for console gaming. In Project Spark, we can add behaviors to anything in the world, or alter brains that already exist on things. We're going to play around with this goblin brain and make a quick touch game for everyone. So Rusty started by deleting the default brain, and we're going to build one from scratch. The brain is broken up into a when and a do side. The visual language is simple, yet very powerful. We're going to tell the goblin here to jump on the ground after a specified time to a height of, what are we going to pick, about 5 meters, we think? Perfect. Looks good. Now, Rusty's going to change the camera next to a different view. He's going to start again by deleting our default brain here. And then we're going to place a fixed camera, and we'll see how this comes into play in a second. You got to frame this perfectly, Rusty. This is your chance. Scene looks pretty good. Desert Oasis looks nice. All right. Awesome. All right, now it's time to put our controls in. So we're going to make this a touch-based instead of a controller-based game. So we'll get our touch mechanic in. And when Rusty touches an object, what we want to do is create a visual effect that will pull out of our library here. So let's let Rusty put this line in. We'll go into our library and choose an effect. These include things that are both created by our team over in Xbox and some that can be created by the community as well. Then we want to put one other child rule in, and that will execute after the effect, which will destroy whatever we've touched, making this our main mechanic. All right, looks good. All right, now finally we'll use our clone command to make more goblins here. We just can't have one goblin jumping around. And with more time, Rusty could set up timers, scores, sounds, and so much more. Rusty, let's change a couple of those goblins into something different. Give it a little visual variety here. In the desert, he's chosen the Yeti. Interesting choice. So we'll put a Yeti in there, maybe another one. All right. Looking good. Perfect. And then let's play with the position a little bit so we get some height variety. There we go. All right. Now Rusty should be able to swipe or touch these enemies and try and defeat them all. Ah, there they are. Now in just a few minutes, he was able to create a touch game he started on Windows 8 and completed over on Xbox One with Smart Glass. With Project Spark and Microsoft services, the power to create across devices, to delight with multiple inputs, and the freedom to do it anywhere has never been easier for developers and players. We're taking registration for our beta on Windows 8 at joinprojectspark.com, and you can also come by and check us out later in the gaming lounge to see the creativity that Project Spark can unlock. We'd like to finish by showing you a short sample of some of the cross-platform games people just like you have brought to life using Project Spark. Thank you.
Simple point in showing you a little bit of Project Spark, because I think it really helps define what the new world of applications looks like. Rich clients interacting and taking advantage of very rich and sophisticated service infrastructure, and able to be customized and developed upon and enhanced, whether it's client code or cloud code, by literally hundreds and thousands of people around the world. And whether we're talking about productivity in the office, enjoyment at home, serious kind of hardcore fun, which I guess is Project Spark, certainly it would be for my 14-year-old. We're trying to facilitate that kind of deep innovation across everything we do. Rapid release, an incredible family of devices with incredible services to back them up. And across the Windows family, we're really trying to bring together and allow you as developers to bring together one innovative experience on every device for everything, from work to play to serious fun that's important in somebody's life. As developers, we know you have a lot of choices. When it comes time to choosing the things to choose to build the innovations that people are going to really lean in on. When people really need to get something done, when people really want to plan the trip, when people really need to get some work done, when people want to hardcore lean in and have some fun, we think we've got absolutely the highest volume platform on the planet. We will sell literally hundreds of millions of Windows devices this year. Windows phones, Windows tablets, Windows PCs, Windows. And while certainly some of the form factors that have been most important traditionally in Windows will see an interesting transition. The rise of new Windows form factors, phones, tablets, two-in-ones, all-in-ones, even in a sense, the future of where we take Xbox and the ability to participate in Windows experiences is unparalleled. And the opportunity as an application developer to use Windows on the device and Windows Azure in the cloud to build next-generation mobile connected experiences has absolutely never been better than it is today. We appreciate your taking the time and joining us. We appreciate all of the energy you put into studying and to learning and to innovating on our platform. And I want you to leave with but one thought: the future of Windows is very, very bright. Thank you.